Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now. Your live Weather Authority coverage.
All right. That was pretty intense, wasn't it? All right. Good evening, everyone. I think we had a little bit of an intro issue right there, but we are looking at some new information we're talking about tonight for our forecast, including Hurricane Lee. I think the overall message remains mostly unchanged. The overall track remains mostly unchanged. We have some rain, we have some drizzle, we have some fog. I think tomorrow starts off where today ended, and we will probably be talking about low humidity for a change later this week. So we actually have a lot to talk about. Those of you looking to get rid of the humidity, we'll have that moving in later this week with drier air for both Thursday and Friday. All right, let's waste no time and jump into this. I still am trying to figure out what happened with that really weird intro that we had right there. That was pretty dramatic, wasn't it? All right, it's 64 degrees in Portland, and we have the fog out there. The dew point is 64 as well. So when those two numbers are the same, we have 100% relative humidity. And that's what we have out there tonight. All right, let's take a look at our Doppler. We have some rain working its way through Oxford, Franklin, Somerset County, and we have some drizzle elsewhere with some fog. The drizzle doesn't show up very well on the radar simply because it occurs in the extreme lowest levels of the atmosphere. Tomorrow, we have a little bit of a break. I think there'll be some sunny breaks midday and afternoon. Going on a limb with that. I think there will be some late day rain, though. That is a front off to our west. See that one right there? That will be a front that brings us some wet weather. More importantly, drier air starts to make its way in behind the front for Thursday into Friday. Friday, however, you'll notice some increasing late day clouds from Hurricane Lee traversing off to the north, a few hundred miles to our south. Actually, more than a few, several hundred miles off to our south. The storm right now is located about 1,300 miles to our south. All right, let's take a look at the next couple of days, then we'll get into Lee stuff here. This is 7 a.m. tomorrow. We're starting with clouds, drizzle, fog. Kids heading off to the bus stop. More of the same should be expected. If you're heading off to work tomorrow, I think you might need the windshield wipers just enough to get some of that drizzle off of the windshield. It's one of those deals. Notice some sunny breaks here. I think we'll get some breaks in the overcast. That's what we're shooting for. Midday and early afternoon. Come on, breaks. Here comes some more wet weather. That's a cold front I just outlined for you. And that's an important piece to our forecast. That rain moves through and then drier air starts to filter in as soon as Thursday morning. Now, it's not going to be a crisp fall air mass for Friday, Thursday, but you'll notice the dew points at least falling into the 50s. It'll feel a lot better. And I think by that point, we'll all be looking for brighter skies. So both Thursday and Friday are looking pretty nice here in vacation land. After that, we're going to focus our attention on Hurricane Lee and that storm becoming post-tropical in the Gulf of Maine. We'll talk a lot about what that means in just a second, but notice the storm is located about 1,300 miles off to our south. Let's take out the old distance tool. There it is. There's the center of Lee. It's right in there. All right, 1,283 miles off to our south-southeast. Latest information from the Hurricane Center, it's 515 miles, the south-southwest of Bermuda. Max winds are 115 miles per hour with gusts to 140. So category 3 storm, it's not quite as strong as it was last night at this point. Forecast track remains mostly unchanged. It has that cone of uncertainty that runs from eastern Maine to eastern parts of Nova Scotia. So basically this is the cone right here. Yeah, this is the window. And I really don't have any real problems with the Hurricane Center's official track here. If anything, it might do one of these guys and kind of work its way up into the Bay of Fundy. I wouldn't be shocked to see something like that. But in the near term, though, that's something we'll be watching for any shift in track west. The Hurricane Center says, yeah, it maintains hurricane status, a true warm core system right into the Gulf of Maine. It's probably going to be undergoing that extratropical process where it becomes post-tropical. It takes on the characteristics more of your typical nor'easters here in Maine at some point before gets up into the Bay of Fundy or Nova Scotia or eastern parts of Maine. What do we mean by that? Well, what happens is as these storms weaken, they move into northern latitudes. They go from warm core systems to what we call cold core systems, like a nor'easter, and that allows the wind field, which is usually confined to the right at the middle of a hurricane, that's allowed to expand out when it goes through this process. So the reason I bring all of this up, we're looking at all these different models, and where's the track going to go? I wouldn't pay too much attention to where the exact center of the storm is going to be. Notice these are all forecast models right here. We'll get to that in just a second. Here's the European model right there. Here's the H wharf, which shifted east too. I like that idea. But I wouldn't spend too much time focusing in on the exact track of the center of the storm, because this is going to be a very large storm. This is going to be a storm that the rainfall is allowed to expand. The wind field is going to be allowed to expand. It's far from worst case scenario, but I think we're probably talking about some rain and wind in our region on Saturday. So here's what we know about the storm. The storm's going to be affecting us mostly Saturday through Saturday night. Sunday, I have mostly sunny skies returning. So outdoor plans this weekend. Sunday's your day. It stays a bit breezy. But Saturday, the question marks are, how much wind are we going to get? How much rain are we going to get? And 4 days out, it's too early to determine exactly what's going to happen there, because there's not only the track we're looking at, but we're trying to figure out what the type of storm it's going to be. Is it going to be a true warm core system where the strongest winds are at the center of the storm, or are we starting to see those gusts over 40 miles per hour reaching eastern parts of Maine? That's a possibility. I mean, 40-mile-per-hour gusts, you're going to get some outages. You leaves in the trees, soggy ground. And that's a real possibility through at least parts of Maine. But I don't think we're going to get anything extreme as far as hurricane force winds or anything like that. We're not expecting that in at least southern parts of Maine. Notice the center of the storm probably going up into the Bay of Fundy. But again, that window is probably anywhere from here to here as far as the cone goes. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But, take that track 50 miles off to the west, and it's an entirely different scenario. Either way, though, I plan on some rain and some wind on Saturday, and it looks like the sun tries to make an appearance on Sunday. So Sunday is the day for outdoor plans, particularly midday and afternoon. I want to talk about what we do know. We do know that the storm is going to affect us Saturday and Saturday night. We also know that we're probably talking about some significant wave heights. Now, the good news is we're not looking at astronomical high tides this weekend. So that's good news. Unlike the December 23rd storm last year. Remember that one? We're not expecting that. But there is the potential for significant beach erosion in this sort of setup. By Friday, 7 p.m., we're probably talking about the chance for 5 to 10 foot waves. But notice those waves start to build to about 10 to 20 feet in the Gulf of Maine on Saturday. So this is going to be a good storm as far as waves, at least. Waves and beach, coastal impacts, coastal flooding is possible as well. But I think it's more splash over and beach erosion. That's going to be the big story. Excuse me, with this storm here. So notice some of those waves over 20 feet out in the Gulf of Maine. So that's about 7 p.m. on Saturday. As the storm pulls away, the waves will be much more manageable going into Sunday, probably around 5 to 6 feet. So Saturday's your day. Waves will be the most confident part of our forecast as far as the coastal impacts go. Wind gusts, rainfall amounts, that's still a bit in question. So here's what we know, here's what we don't know. Saturday night, check mark. It's going to be a storm that affects us first part of the weekend. Check mark on the coastal issues. We feel pretty confident that we're going to be dealing with some significant beach erosion here and some pretty big waves. Wind gusts, I still have some question marks on that. I don't think this is worst case scenario, but it doesn't take much to produce outages. You have the leaves in the trees, you have soggy ground. Yeah, there could be some problems. If we get gusts over 40 miles per hour, that's when we start to see some problems here. And I can't imagine we'd get gusts much stronger than that. And to be honest with you, most areas probably get gusts that will be less than that at this point. That's my early thought how it goes down on a Tuesday afternoon about a storm that's 1,300 miles off to our south that will be affecting us 4 days from now. We'll see. I know that there's going to be some updates, and we'll be doing some more updates as we go throughout the day. Rainfall amounts and question marks there. what type of storm we're dealing with in the Gulf of Maine, what's the exact track of the storm. We just highlighted all of that. So tomorrow's one of those days where we start with some clouds, drizzle, and fog, some sunny breaks develop, and then some late day rain moves in. As soon as that rain moves out, drier air starts to move back in. I think we'll see some sun develop Thursday, Friday, lower humidity both days. Those are the days that you're going to like, I think. Clouds start to increase during the afternoon on Friday. Watching Lee, of course, for that rain and wind on Saturday. And Sunday looks okay. I think we're in pretty good shape. Look for developing sun. If we get any effects from Lee on Sunday, it's very, very early in the day, probably before sunrise. Chance for a shower Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday looks good. I think most of next week is looking pretty good as well. So we get through the next couple of days. I think we'll be in good shape after that. Okay, so inland areas, very similar setup here. Temperatures look similar. Humidity moves out Thursday, Friday. And of course, we're tracking Lee. If you're just joining us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the question marks remain, what type of storm we're dealing with the track in the Gulf of Maine. It looks like gusts and rainfall amounts are the big questions, probably the most important questions, right? But we're definitely dealing with some big waves moving into the Gulf of Maine. Significant coastal effects are certainly possible in this sort of setup here. So if you're just joining us on Facebook Live, we can hopefully bring back something that's useful for you, maybe. Here's the forecast track of the storm. It's a very large storm. We just outlined the tracks, but I mean, that's the center of the storm. As these storms move into northern latitudes, they become a lot larger. As they weaken, this will be a much weaker storm than it is right now, but it'll be a much larger storm, and it will take on more of that typical nor'easter characteristics. I would imagine by Saturday night, it's going to have a comma to it. You ever notice the big nor'easters that we get in the spring, fall, and the winter? They have a comma to them. It'd be just like that. So that's what we think is going to happen. That's actually 2:00 in the morning on Sunday. So that's what we're thinking there. All right, maybe we can answer some of your questions. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Sorry for clearing my throat here, but everybody's sick these days. Kids go back to school, and that's what happened, right? Everybody's checking in. All right, Donald says, evening. Good evening, Donald. Hello to you. Research projects. Project Cirrus. I don't know what you're referring to. Research projects, Andrew. You can elaborate. Thank you for checking in. Hello, Barbie. Hello. All right. Power outages on Saturday. It's possible, Travis. Yeah, absolutely. Don't know what the winds are going to be yet. How many miles east or west does it cover? Oh, the cone. I bet you're talking about the cone of uncertainty area. Let's take a look at that. I don't know. It's a good question. How many miles does it cover? Let's take a look. So let's just take this little window right here. So it looks like it's about 400 miles. Yeah, it's a pretty wide swath right there, right? Hope that answers your question, Donald. All right, Carol says, oh, you're welcome, Carol. Thanks for checking in. What time's the rain coming Saturday? I think it develops in the morning, Lois, and moves out very early Sunday morning. That's with the track that we have right now. If it goes 50 miles east, might not get any rain at all. But I think we'll get some rain. Travis says, what are the chances it's going to miss us completely? Yeah, there's a chance. What's the chance? I don't know. 25% maybe. Even with it hitting us, I mean, it's not a direct hit. Even with it affecting us, it's far from worst case scenario, guys. This is a lot of buzz out there. Everybody thinks we're getting a hurricane. We're not getting a hurricane. We're gonna think of it like a big nor'easter. That's what we're getting. We'll be all right, I think. But the concerns are power outages, coastal effects, things like that. Oh, hey, Oswald. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. How many miles from the center would it cover from east to? Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. We just covered that, Donald. Thank you very much. I'm running over the same questions again. Sorry. It's always best to be safer, Mark says. I'm with you. Thank you. You're welcome, Sandy. I appreciate that. Enjoying every day above 70. This has been an odd spring, so odd fall so far. I consider September fall. Sorry, I know it's technically not fall, but I think that I'm going to run the numbers on this tomorrow night. Let's revisit this right around now. I think we're probably talking about the most humid September through at least the 12th. I'll have that data for you tomorrow night. But wow, it's humid for September. pumpkin spice everything is on hold. Should kids' soccer games be canceled on Saturday? I wouldn't cancel them yet. That's a pretty good possibility at this point, but I wouldn't cancel anything. Let's just see what's going to happen. We're 4 days out. Storm's 1,300 miles away. I wouldn't cancel it. Not yet. Oh, you're welcome, Donald. I want to come to Pem. Yes, I'd love to come. I'll buy you. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that. I'd love to come to Pemaquid. I love the lighthouse out there. I'll be up that way 2 weeks from Saturday, 2 weeks from Sunday. I think we'll be going to Damascotta Pumpkin Fest. And sometimes we go down to Pemaquid to check out the wave action and stuff. So thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. I may take you up on that one of these days. Thank you very much. Good evening, Brandon, to you as well. Travis says, not good enough for me. Travis wants a big storm, it sounds like. Oh, you're welcome, Dustin. Appreciate that. Thank you for the update. So everybody's checking in. Thank you. All right. Thank you for checking in, guys. Thank you for sitting through this. Looks like we still have over 100 people on here. So thank you very much for listening. If those of you just joining us on the Facebook Live, let's just kind of highlight what we know right now. We're talking about a storm that's 1,300 miles, close to 1,300 miles off to our south. So, a lot of folks are wondering, why don't we know what's going to happen? Because there's so many different variables. Oh, one thing we haven't talked about is who's a Spinal Tap fan here? The movie Spinal Tap? Greg Lagerquist and I are. But the next hurricane, which will probably be in the same exact position or similar position 1 week from now, is going to be Hurricane Nigel, who's a character in Spinal Tap. So Nigel's the next name. And the next storm is probably going to take a similar track to Lee. It's going to be a big storm, I think. But my guess is it curves out a little bit sooner than Lee is curving out. So, the storm's 1,300 miles off to our south, and it's going to be taking a track something like this, and then weave its way in like this, and then kind of come out like this. So, the big question is, does it do this or does it do this? A lot can happen from a storm that's 1,300 miles off to our south. So that's the reason there are question marks. When I say I don't know how much rain we're going to get, I don't know how much wind we're going to get. I really don't. My guess is there's at least the chance for gusts to 40 miles per hour and even over 40 miles per hour. But there's also the chance that we get gusts 25 miles an hour too. So we'll have to see how that pans out in the coming days. Most confident part is the coastal effects. Oh no, we have 2 weddings on the coast of Kennebunkport. What do you think the winds will be like? Oh, for an outdoor wind. Oh, geez. On Saturday, check back in on Thursday. I really don't know yet what the winds are going to be. But I was thinking about people getting married this weekend. It's a big time of year for weddings. So you can only hope the storm goes a little farther out to sea, I think. Any chance it moves more west? Absolutely. There's that chance. Yeah, Dave. Oh, you're welcome. Helena. Yeah, I like that name. Thank you very much for checking in. All right. Yeah, Oswald, we'll have more updates for you tomorrow. Absolutely. And same to you, Shirley. Thank you very much. All right. We'll leave it at that tonight. Hope everybody's having a nice night. We have one more day of the elevated humidity, and then we can dry things out for a few days. And next week actually looks pretty good. I think most of the week is actually going to feature lower humidity and comfortable September temperatures. So, it'll be nice to get typical September weather to return at some point, although it does look a little warmer than normal in the extended forecast. All right, we'll leave it at that tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a nice night, and we'll check back in tomorrow. And we're going to have that stat on humidity as well. I'll see you then.